July 29th, 1980, and I'm talking to Maude, Todd, and how old are you?
I'm 85.
And we'll keep on talking about what we were talking about. Now, you're talking about Oakdale School.
Yeah.
And what was I going to say? Oh, now how much older was Addie Mae Abernathy than you?
I really don't know, but I know she was older because they went away to college, you know. I don't know. I can't remember. When I went to Oakdale first, it was a little red schoolhouse, just one room. Miss Nell McIntosh was our teacher.
Well, how long have you been there since it had been started? You were there kind of at the first.
I was there when they first opened up the school, when they first started.
How old were you then?
I must have been about 7 or 8. I think I had went to another little schoolhouse at first. I just don't remember too much. Seems like my memory is not too good.
Well, you remember the name of that other schoolhouse?
Piney Grove was the first one I went
heard
to.
That.
Yeah, of course it's been gone a long, long time, but that was the first I went to. And I went. Then they built this up here. And I went to school up there. It's just a one-room schoolhouse. And you didn't have but one teacher, and they taught all the classes, you know, from the children, the youngest, on up to, I don't know how far they taught then, because people didn't go to school very much. And I know the first school teacher was Miss Nell McIntosh. Did Maine tell you anything like that?
Well, I forget. It's been a long time.
And then the next teacher was Miss Loma Squires.
Yeah, I was just seeing if it was doing it.
Loma Squires. I don't know. I can't remember when we started. We didn't have a long school like you do now. You know, we just went to school. I don't know for sure how many months we went, but not over. I imagine we started in October. And then on till March, I imagine, or maybe the last of, no, I guess we went to the last of March, maybe the first of April.
You went from the time crops were laid by to planting time.
Yeah, that's the way we had to do, you know. And then I can't remember who our next school teacher was. I don't remember. And then I know we had Mr. Harry Abernathy, Eleanor and them's brother. He taught 2 years up there.
He was older than all the rest of the girls, wasn't he?
Yeah. I think he must have been the oldest one of the family. Then Lonnie, Richard, then Addie Mae, and Susan and Eleanor. They're the only ones left now.
Well, who do you remember going to school with up there? People that in this community that.
Well, if you go in there and look right beside my telephone, you can bring a picture out here. It's got about all the ones that went to school up there.
Okay, let's start with the one standing on the porch, the teachers.
No, here's Mr. Harry. That's
right.
The only teacher that was there in that room.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then
that's Virgie Harris. And there's Susan.
Okay, we're going from left to right.
Yeah,
Susan Abernathy.
Yeah. And Ethel Cathy. And, I can't think of her name. Mary, she was Mary Taylor. May Elliott, Maude Todd, and Lily McCord, and Myrtle McCord.
Okay, let's get these 3 girls standing up here.
Essie McCord, Essie Dunn.
Oh, yeah.
And Bernice Baker.
Okay, we'll get this, catch this little one on the end.
That's Dave Hill. And Marsh Grass, Ware Taylor, Trace Cathy, let me see. Wes Elliott.
And all the way over here.
And that's, he's Elliott too. Forgot his name. And that there's Carl Rogers.
Okay, right down here on his
knee. And that's John Crean. And Israel Grass.
Oh, yeah.
Wes Elliott.
The big old one.
Harry Baker. Bessie Ewing. She's a hip. I forget her name.
That's Maddie Bell
Nixon, yeah. John Elliott and Dave Elliott.
And on there on the ground.
That there's Alvin Cassie. And
Sid.
You know who that is?
Sid Nixon.
Yes, Sid Nixon. Yeah. That's been a long, long time since that was taken, but there wasn't a thing put on.
You remember what time? When do you think this was taken?
I don't remember what year it was.
I don't know. Susan Elnor, I'd seen one kind of like this.
Yeah, I bet you they can tell you what year it was in, but I don't remember. It's been a good picture, though. It's been taken that long, hasn't it, to be still clear.
Grandma's got hers from Lucky Schoolhouse up there. Mm-hmm. Right up there. Well, do you remember what caused them to build this school? Was there any particular reason?
Well, that was just so far over yonder on the other side of Mount Holly Road, you know, over there. Made it so far. And then they went and divided it up. And the ones on this side of Mount Holly Road went to Oakdale. And the ones on the other side went. Must have been out much coffee somewhere. They didn't go over here. And there wasn't too many at school because that one room wasn't full, then, because then, they got to coming in. There wasn't many people lived over here then. Mm-hmm. And I just can't tell how many there was, but I know there wasn't too many at first, but we kept getting up. Then they built another room. While we had that one room, I guess Mame told you that we had another teacher come in after a year. What was her name? Did she tell you?
I don't know. I don't think she told me that.
Well, Mag something, I believe it was. But she taught now at the back of the schoolhouse. Mm-hmm. And we went up to the front had a recitation bench up there. Sat down up there. And she stood up and topped the smallest ones back there. Then, I don't know whether it was the next year, sometime after that, they built a second room. And then they had 3 rooms when I quit going out there.
Well, did they build that, Grandpa always tell me about the big room and the little room.
Yeah.
Did they build the little room second? Or the
little room, we called it second. It was the second room. And then when they built the other room, they had a big long porch went all the way across. Well,
what do you remember things? Do you remember anything you used to recite or anything like that, or any kind of thing you used to study?
Well, on about every Friday evening, we'd have a spelling match or something, And we got to, after we had 3 rooms, while some of the other rooms, the bigger ones in there, would come in, with us. And then sometimes they'd get up and recite little old poems and things, on Friday afternoon. That was the time that we took off, didn't have our classes then. So I don't remember too much, but I know we played. And we had one school teacher, he wanted everybody to get out and play at lunchtime and when we had recess too, So he wanted you to play. And I remember one time they went down and I reckon it was Mr. Adam Thompson's pastor and played ball, the big boys and the big girls. And once there was people like Al and Kathy and us on them, they lived out there back of the It was front of the schoolhouse now, you know, but it was way back around some woods. They lived in this great big 2-story house back there, and that's where they lived. So one day, while we was having devotional, why, we heard the bell ringing. They had a big bell out on a post out there, and we heard that bell ringing. And I remember Alvin said to the teacher, "There's something the matter at home. I got to go see." And so about that time, Bessie Ewing there came running in, and she said their house was on fire. And he went, and the teacher let every boy that was big enough. See, you see some big boys there. We had a lot of boys that came that was big, you know. And they all went out there, and they had 2 buckets on the well, you know, that they could draw them up. And it was way up on top of that big house. It was fire. And so they had a bucket brigade, you know, and got the fire out without too much trouble. And that's about the only thing that I know of that was sort of, you know, kind of scary then.
Would you remember the April Fool Day?
Oh, yeah. Sometimes we would, you know, it was right ugly in us, wasn't it? We'd all go off and just leave the poor old teacher there. And one time, we barred him out. We all, a bunch of us got there soon, and some of them big boys now, they wanted us to go in, and we went in. And I was scared to death when I was in there, because he said he was going to beat us all, and I don't know what all he did say, marching back out in the porch, and we wouldn't let him in. They barred every door, window, and everything, so he couldn't get in. They was going to make them promise to give him a treat or something at the end of school. Mm-hmm. But he didn't do it. But that's right. It's right funny, you know, to hear all that.
Wasn't real harm.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember that day y'all all ran off? And Maine told me all about it, where they went.
Well, I just don't remember. I just don't know where all we did go to, you know. But just a bunch of us went. We were kind of the biggest girls then, you know, that went off. But I bet you she remembers where he went, but I don't.
Said down to the store, I think, with Taylor's.
If it was up yonder at Maude Hill, you know.
Well, that's where I think they went.
And I guess
Maude Hill.
I think that bunch must have went up there, but I think we went back in this way. It might not have been the same time, you know, because I was older than me.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I heard that Essie Dunn had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I bet she did. Essie was sure, she was smart as she could be.
She was always getting into something, wasn't she?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, were you going there when Leonard Dixon was going there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was there when Leonard was there. Maddie Bell, wasn't she on there?
Mm-hmm.
And Zelda, she went there when I first went to school over there, because she was a bigger girl. And, yeah, she was older. But I remember her. And I remember Leonard too. Well, I remember most all of them, the ones that come from over that way.
Well, where were they living? You know where the Nixons were living at that time?
Well, yeah, it wasn't as far out as where you all lived, though. It seemed like it was, I don't know whether it was, you know, I can't hardly tell now. They've changed the roads and so much, and I haven't been long, but it seemed like it was somebody's house up on that side of the road, or maybe it was on this side. I just don't know. But I remember seeing your great-grandma Nixon. I reckon be your great. There was, I remember seeing her. She was such a pretty woman.
Octavia.
Yeah, Octavia. But you know, we'd have picnics or something over there at the school in the summertime, you know, and that's where we'd see them. We wouldn't see none of them from the time school was out till we went back to school the next fall. And when we had that, I believe they called it a farmer's picnic or something, and everybody would take their dinner and put it out on the ground, you know, well, the tables more like that. And then we'd get to meet all of them, then when we got back over there. All the Hips, Bud Hip, Sally Bell, and a whole lot of them then.
Well, do you remember having plays at Oakdale?
Yeah, well, I sure do. At the end of school, we'd have we called it entertainment. Mm-hmm. And they built, you couldn't have them inside. They built a stage on the outside, and then they had slabs for people to sit on. Yeah, I remember that. Mm-hmm. We'd go back and forth at night to practice so we could have a play over there. That was a lot of fun. We enjoyed that too, And we most always had a drill.
Yeah.
Drill around, and out and in, going all around.
Do you remember, what are some of the old families that had been in Oakdale a long time when you were growing up? Oakdale and Mole Hill.
Well, the Lawings was a lot of Lawings up in there, and Trims, John Trim, all that bunch. They all came to Oakdale too. Then from way back over here, the Elliots that lived over there on right off Sunset Road, they all over here. Now that's a good piece to walk, wasn't it? It's a good piece for us to walk too. I just don't know. There wasn't no houses down along here then.
What Lawings do you remember from way back then? Do you remember Mr. Johnny?
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Jimmy?
All them, I remember them. And I remember Sewell and, I forget. I just forget the name. If I don't think of people often, I just forget what I did know, Yeah, I remember them.
Well, I've heard Mr. Jimmy was kind of a serious type.
Yeah, he wasn't no big talker or get around or anything like that. I think I wasn't about him much, just the children mostly that I was about. Graham. No, I just can't think of all their names. Yeah, I remember them too.
Well, I know you didn't go to Pleasant Grove Church, but it was in the community. What do you remember? You remember anything about way back?
Yeah, when church was down where the cemetery is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's when I went most. Was then. I went to Paw Creek many a Sunday morning, then go to Pleasant Grove in the afternoon.
Oh.
Bernice Baker played the organ up there. And I'd go, she'd want me to go with her, and I'd go. We walked. And then when they had big preaching up there, they'd have a lot of things, and we'd always go at night up there too. They always had big picnics up there in the summertime. One time they had an ocean wave.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh Lord, I never could stand it, going up and down that way, and that's the way it did. And I got up on there though. We didn't want to let nobody outdo us. We always tried to go. Oh.
Yeah, I've heard about that ocean wave.
Yeah, and they most always had. I think they had music up there too. The band.
I think they had the Paw Creek.
It was just old fiddlers and all, just the ones from around here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my daddy and Alvy Dunn and Mr. Roe McCord, Connor McCord. I just forget Parks Kathy and all of them. And we always had that going on at night when we had our when we had our exhibition, that's what we called them, the plays.
Yeah.
They would play first, between acts or something or other.
What kind of songs did they play? Do you remember anything?
Oh, Lord, these old things make you shake your feet and dance all over the place. There's a lot of other ones, too, Oh, I just don't remember them. But they had a big old bass fiddle, Some of them would play. My daddy, he always played the little fiddle you put up here under your chin. And there were several of them played that. Some of them would play the tenor.
What was it going? Oh, well, do you remember that old First Pleasant Grove church up there?
No, I seem like I can just barely remember it. It was across the road from the cemetery. And it seemed to me like it was a little long church. I know it wasn't very big, but I was not old enough to know anything about going. But I remember when they built the other church. I can remember that, but I don't know whether I was ever up there then. If I was too little to remember. But I remember when they built that other church up there.
Was it a pretty big affair?
Yeah, it was a pretty big church up there, It was real nice. And, a long time ago when they had that little church, I remember how it was a public. You didn't have Sunday school rooms and things like that. And when they built some Sunday school rooms out at the front of it, and I'm not for sure whether they did have any more in the back of it or not.
Well, you remember going to Sunday school up there?
When I went, I always went to their Sunday school too, just like I did at Park Creek.
Who do you remember your Sunday school teacher being?
I don't remember up there. I don't remember who the Sunday school teacher. I didn't make it a habit of going up there very much, but I did at Park Creek.
Yeah, it was remember Clemmy Alton?
Oh, sure.
Well,
yeah.
That's the one Grandma talks about being her.
She was a Sunday school teacher, and I've been in her class when I would go up there. I would go with Ada Baker or some of them older ones, and we'd go in Miss Clemmy's class. She was a good Sunday school teacher, and Mr. Lawrence could sing. I can just remember hearing him singing it. They didn't have a choir, but he sat up close to the organ. And,
Lawrence?
Yeah, that was Miss Clemmy's husband,
I wouldn't have thought he could have sung.
Yeah, sung bass.
I heard he's a right serious character too sometimes.
Yeah, but he could really go down and get that low bass. Yeah, he could. But I wasn't up there too much, not at Pleasant Grove. I'd go to picnics and things like that. But we went to Park Creek all the time, all of us. We'd always been Presbyterians, and we went out there. You feel like you got to go to your own church to sort of help to boost the line. But I don't know half the people up there now, but I used to know everybody that went, because wasn't no big thing one time ago.
Yeah, it's really grown up now.
Huh?
I guess it's really grown up now.
Oh boy, I don't know how it goes out there now. It's a big thing.
Well, I always ask you, what do you remember about Maude Hill Methodist Church, if anything at all?
I don't remember saying that.
You don't remember Maude Hill Church?
But I've heard of it, but I don't remember anything about it. But I know my parents and all, would go up there. Walking wasn't nothing a long time ago.
Yeah.
You could walk wherever you wanted to go. But I don't remember a thing about that. But I remember the name of it and everything, but I don't remember anything about it.
We had it been kind of out of business by the time you came along.
It must have been, because I don't remember But the first little church I remember was the Pleasant Grove. That was the first one that I remember. Of course, that one at Paw Creek, I remember that. But it's way up most 200 years old now.
Well, how big a place was Oakdale back then? I know it wasn't nothing.
No, it was just sitting in a bunch of all up on the other side of where the schoolhouse was trees, all big oak trees and all around up there. And Mr. Bob Thompson built up there while we were going to school up there. He built a house. He lived across the road over there in a little house right in front of the schoolhouse, When I forgot where he lived. He didn't live right here, but he moved here. And then he bought that land, or it was willed to him or something, and he built a house up there. And it stayed for a long, long time until they tore it down after the people sold it to other people, and it got clear. But there wasn't no. I remember when this road was put in. Rock on one side and dirt on the other. That's what it was, But when I first remember that road, all this was up around here, was in woods and everything. And of course, when they built it, they put the road through here, well, then people began to build up on it, But it's been a long, long time. Because we were just girls then. And we were so worried because they put that curve down around there. Of course, there wasn't nothing but wagons and buggies then. But we couldn't understand why they didn't make a straight road. And I still don't. But remember the old road, it went down in front of where Fred Godley's house is.
I think so.
It's got that round top at the top. Well, it went down by there and come out, and it come up behind where this pond is down here. Come up along there, and it come out in here, and it went up around, just an old wagon road till they put this through. A lot of mine holes up there. I can remember us going down in them mine holes when we went to school.
Now, where were they at?
Over across the road, just down on this side of the school, and right, some of them might be in front of it. It was all woods, just old dense woods.
About where that bank is now? I've heard that bank's over some.
Yeah, there was mine holes up along there, where long back where the bank is, because all that was in woods, way when we went to school right there. They had a time, with children going down. It's a wonder that it hadn't got down in there and snake bit or what. No, but I never heard of nobody getting.
Well, how deep were they? I guess.
I don't really know, because we didn't have nerve enough to go far down it. Some people had told us so many things about what had happened, bears and I don't know what all. So we stayed clear of all that part. We'd just go and mess around the edges of it, Sometimes throw rocks or something down there. And I imagine the boys threw rocks down in there.
Well, was there much mining going on when you were growing up?
Up here they called it Caps Mine, Capsule Mine, and there's one over there on Plank Road, up there before you get out to. That's the only one I remember, and they worked it there. And what did they call that mine? And then there was an old house up there, and these folks lived in that house, and I can't remember what their names were. But they went to school up here, great big grown boys in the first grade, all things like that. and they'd just cut up, and the teacher would send out and get a hickory, and they wore so much clothes. The boys would just laugh at the teachers the one. Oh, it was a sight. You just don't know what it was. And they didn't go to school hardly ever.
Yeah.
They would just come once in a while, I think the girls maybe did come pretty good, but they were all grown.
Yeah.
And whenever they'd get the hickory in there, it scared us all to pieces, when you're about 8 or 9 years old, you don't know what in the world they are. But I don't know what become of them. But I know there was a big old, where they'd mined up there was a great big hill of stuff, dirt and stuff that put back down in there, between there and Mount Holly Road over there. Put it back a little piece down next to the creek. Them times, though, that's been a long time ago.
Would you ever remember hearing of a Molehill mine?
No, I don't think I did.
Something called Prim Mine? That was so long ago.
Yeah, I don't remember. I guess if I lived up in that neighborhood, I'd have heard about it. I maybe did, but I don't remember.
Well, the way I hear people talk, there must have just been little mine holes all over the
place. Well, it was just everywhere. There's just different places you go, there's a mine hole. I know there was a mine hole back down in here. They called it the Kiser place, and there wasn't no house there that I ever did know of, but there was a mine hole there, because this dog got, somebody had stole it, I reckon, and tied it, belonged to somebody, and he'd come back and he'd go down in that mine hole, and it got tied up, he couldn't get out, and so they happened to hear it, and I know that they said people went and got it out.
Would you ever remember of hearing anybody that ever made any money?
No, I had done that. I think that's the reason they give them up. They didn't make no money. Well, I don't know what about the Capsule mine, but that's back over here. But I don't know. I don't know whether they ever made any money or not. Surely they wouldn't just. Well, I reckon they'd try and try. If they didn't make it, they'd just give it up, I guess.
Well, I guess there must have been a little bit of something around here.
Yeah, keep them hunting.
I heard that, my great-grandmother, my great-grandmother Alton Nixon, said that, Michael Leonard told me that, said after rain they would go out in their yard and pick up little pieces of gold out in the yard after a heavy rain, and over the years they collected enough money to each make them a wedding ring.
Oh, did you? Well, good. Oh, but I never did know whether there was any. I've seen them people over in our field. There was a lot of white flint rocks over in there, and they say the Indians, but I know they found a lot of them Indian head things, arrows. Wasn't that what they call them? Arrowhead. And I know they found a lot of them over in there, and every once in a while you'd see somebody over in there hunting them. It didn't make good. Nothing didn't grow good on it. There's too many rocks, It didn't have enough dirt in it to make them have a good foundation or place for the roots to grow.
Well, do you ever remember anybody talking of an Alton church?
No.
Or do you remember Lawrence Chapel? I think, it later became Cooks,
Oh, yeah. Cooks.
But before that, didn't they call it Lawrence? I
don't know. The only thing I ever did know, they had a little church way down on this side of Cook. It was before you turned off up there at Shuffletime. It was on this side. There used to be a little church there. And the preacher, he was an old preacher that preached at our church, Preacher Cook. And he built that, and they called it Cook's Chapel.
Yeah.
And that was the only one I ever did remember. But we used to go when he'd preach at Paul Creek, then he'd preach up there, too, took time back. But they finally got them a preacher up there, and then they built a church over. Of course, they've got their second church over there where it is now. But they built it down there. I think that that's just all I know is, just something what somebody has told me, because I never was around up in there very much.
Now, tell me who your father was. He was
Bob Todd.
Robert Wood Todd.
Yeah, Robert Wood Todd.
And you know when he was born?
I can't remember when he was born. But I know it's here somewhere.
Do you remember when he died?
Yeah, I remember when he died. He died in, I believe it was in a 37 or something. It was way long. It's been a long time since he died. He was 66 years old when he died.
Well, who was some of his brothers and sisters?
He didn't have no brother. If he did, died when he was little, He had a half-sister that lived with us.
Is that
Lucetta.
Lucetta?
Lucetta Todd.
Well, didn't he have a half-brother named William? Was that?
He had that was Papa's half-brother. That was Aunt Setta's real brother. Yeah, William. And I forget what all his name was.
Well, do you remember much about your grandfather Todd?
Yeah.
John William.
John William Todd. Yeah, I sure do. I was 13 years old when he died.
So when did he die? What year?
He died in 1907, October the 4th. No, October the 7th, I believe. They always had a Todd reunion when he lived, and I know they had the reunion on the 14th of September. That was his birthday, and they had it that year, and then he died the 7th of October. And it was 1907.
Do you know when he was born?
Oh, don't know. I sure do. But he's got an old Bible, but I don't know whether it's over here or not, that he wrote everything in. He kept track of everything. But I'd have to hunt to find. I haven't brought all my things over here yet, and I thought maybe that I would, but I just can't write offhand. But how long would that be? He was 83 years old.
Oh, well, he lived to be pretty old.
Yeah, he was 83 when he died. So, it was a good bit back.
Yeah.
Because I was born in 1894. And, Grandpa was born a lot before that. So it was 18. Now, I saw an old Bible. I didn't know anybody that was in it, though. But it was in 17 or something,
Really?
Yeah, right, way back. And I couldn't hardly read it. And it was so old, and it was just leaf for leaf, And I didn't write none of it down. I ought to, but it took me one whole day looking in that thing, and I just got so wore out. I didn't try to write it, but I've got the old Bible somewhere. But it was some of their people they had the record of it when they was born, way back in 17 and something.
Well, I know a lot of people that like to see that.
Yeah, I guess it would too. And but you know, Grandpa, he was old like that, and he read a lot, and he read in his Bible, and he always took care of everything, just about.
We seem to be pretty interested in his people then.
Yeah, he was, and he was interested in everything that went on around. You know.
Well, did he have a pretty good education, or did he would just naturally?
I think he just took it up himself.
Mm-hmm.
He just loved to read, so he just read, and he could tell you might knew anything. I know he had a paper over there. I used to look at when I was little, and he would read in the Bible, and he'd write down if he come across some kind of a name or something, he would write and how much he found in that Bible with that one thing. No, he'd just write it down. But I couldn't tell you where that is now either, because I guess it's over there in the bookcase.
Well, do you remember? I'm sure you don't. Do you remember your great grandfather?
No.
Robert Alexander Todd?
No, I don't know. I don't remember him because, you know, when I was born, he was done dead.
Well, your grandpa, how did he? Is there anything to that middle name, Williams?
John William.
All right, is that his John William? I thought it said Williams here. I know probably copied it down. But was that?
That was my daddy's daddy,
Right.
John William Todd.
Mm-hmm. I thought maybe that had some kind of.
No. Mm-mm.
Well, do you remember any of your great uncles, any of your grandfather's brothers or sisters?
No. I don't remember one. Yeah, I remember a brother, Leander Todd. Have you ever got that down?
No, I don't have that one.
Leander Todd.